everybody.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday is right.
Yep.
And it's Ice Cream Social Day.
Yes.
So we've been staring at ice cream quilts for a week going, man, I really want some ice cream. So maybe you're in the same boat. I hope you guys are enjoying the event so far. And someone said their daughter and granddaughter both have birthdays today. Aw, congratulations. Happy birthday to them. It's actually my husband's birthday as well. So,
and your son's birthday Sunday.
and my son's birthday Sunday.
And your father-in-law?
My father-in-law's was yesterday, and my aunt's was the day before that.
Yep.
So
it's crazy birthday week for not just you.
It's Friday birthday weekend at my house. And love it. What better time to have a birthday?
I know.
Right in the summer.
When you can have ice cream.
Cake, ice cream, like pool party. Let's do it. So we hope you guys are having a wonderful July so far. And I'm excited because you today are going to stitch out
an ice cream cone.
Ice cream cone. So we can talk more about ice cream. Let's actually show them the quilt that inspired our ice cream social for today.
This is it. I'm going to be stitching out this ice cream cone, or maybe this ice cream cone, depending on which flavor you like. So we have vanilla up here, strawberry here. And I asked Nina what her favorite flavor of ice cream is. So we're doing chocolate today.
So just brown.
Just brown. Okay.
But
so
I bet a lot of people like chocolate.
Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah. brown. And I honestly...
You should have done Superman.
Yeah. Well... Yeah, then you have to really find the perfect fabric. I have to go quickly tie-dye some fabric,
right,
and come back and put it all together.
That's true. That's true. Okay. Well, so before you do that, or as you get over to the machine, either way, however you want to do it, I do want to let you guys know, just remind you that today during our Hoop Connections event, we actually have 10% off the ice cream social category on the website. So we'll have Nina, she's in the comments and in the party. We will have her drop the link, and everything within this tab is 10% off today. Yeah. And not only that, not only will you save money, we're also going to have the website will automatically pop in a gift for you, which is the adorable lavender sachet that you see pictured there. That will be totally free with any purchase today. So that's exciting as well. But of course, all this expires at midnight. So grab your designs, eat some ice cream, get your freebie all before midnight. Okay. All right. Well, we'll send it over to you now.
Nina, this block is for you. There you go. This is for Nina. So what I've done is I've hooped our battleizer. And I know the girls talked about the battleizer earlier, but it's basically, it's a batting and stabilizer in one product. So you don't have to buy two products. You don't have to hoop two products. You just put your battleizer in the hoop and you're all set to go. So I've stitched out step one, and that is basically an outline of the perimeter of the block. Step two is if you wanted to put in an extra piece of like wool batting on inside here to give it a little more dimension, you have the option of doing that. We are not going to do that. We're going to skip over it. So my next step is to stitch an outline for where my background fabric goes. So I'm just going to stitch that outline. Now you can see I've got brown thread in there. This evidently is a chocolate ice cream, so browns are theme color for today. But basically, our instructions tell you to use water-soluble thread, and by doing that, you don't have to change your thread all the time. You can just, for several steps, you will use water-soluble thread. And my next step, I almost lost my white fabric laying here on my machine. You're going to take a piece of, and let me tell you what size your background fabric. We use white, and you are just going to line it up over that center section. I like to peek under it, make sure I have equal amounts of fabric on all sides. And I think that looks pretty good. And then again, with water-soluble thread, we're going to stitch a tack down to hold this in place. And then all you got to do is just make sure your fabric is laying nice and smooth and flat as it stitches. Okay, and then the next step, let me cut this little thread tail over here. The next step is it's going to stitch like a placement stitch for your ice cream. And again, this is also water soluble thread, but we're going to go with the brown so that way you guys can see what's stitching. Okay, so that is the placement stitch for our cone. So I have chosen this little piece of fabric for our cone, and now we can lay it right side down. And again, I'm using brown, but you're still on a water soluble thread if you're stitching this at home. And you just center that right over that placement stitch, and it's going to sew a tack down. And it's going to do that stitching twice. And that's so that when we go to cut this and trim it close to stitching, which I'm about to do, that if you happen to clip one of those stitches, there's usually another one remaining. So I'm going to pull this out. And then I have a little hoop scissors mini here. And this is great for trimming up close to the stitching. So I'm going to do that right now. Pull this all the way out. Sometimes you got to pull your hoop off so that you can get in there and do the trimming. I would recommend always leave it laying on a flat surface. Don't ever it's instinctive as a woman, I think, to, well, maybe even a man, I guess it doesn't matter, to just lay this hoop on your lap while you're trimming. But if your knee or anything pops it out of the hoop, then you kind of got to start over because lining it up would be very hard. So I always lay it on a flat surface to do my trimming. And we got our cone all trimmed up. And now we're just going to stitch the waffle cone detail and the satin stitches that are on the cone. This is going to make us all want ice cream. Yeah.
I love the waffle cone detail.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
it is cool. And I like a lot of the details that are in this. The soft serve ice cream cone, you can see the swirls in it.
Someone said, "Oh, don't you learn I can actually taste that waffle cone?"
Isn't that the truth?
And then, what machine are you?
I am using the Janome CM17. Okay, and now I probably could have left this thread in there. The next step is also water soluble thread step. However, if you want to, you can put a darker brown in there, a brown that's a little bit darker than what your ice cream color is. We got a lot of brown going on. So, and this is gonna, it's gonna stitch I don't even remember. It's gonna stitch a placement stitch for your chocolate ice cream or whatever flavor you have. And after that, we're going to put the fabric down, and it'll tack down the fabric and also show some detail on your ice cream. Okay. So this step is a placement stitch for your ice cream. And then I'm going to place my chocolate or pink for strawberry or vanilla. Aubrey wanted Superman. Good luck with that. But this is where you place your ice cream fabric, and it'll sew a tack down. And also some additional detail for your ice cream. And again, you can see it double stitches around the perimeter so that if we get a little bit too close, you should be safe. And I'm going to grab my hoop scissors mini again, and I'm going to do some trimming close to the ice cream. Better hurry because it might just melt on us. This looks so good. And now I'm going to change to a thread that actually matches the fabric a little bit better, a little lighter brown. And it's going to sew the satin stitches around the ice cream. Our office used to be located next door to an ice cream shop. That was a dangerous location.
It was.
And I think it was also the inspiration for making an ice cream quilt. Okay, I'm going to clip a little thread tail, and it's going to do some satin stitching. And after that, we're going to add our little corner pieces of fabric. Aubrey, were there any questions from anyone?
I don't see any questions, but lots of fun comments.
Nina says she's definitely getting ice cream today.
I don't blame her. Probably chocolate.
Probably. Is there anyone who does not like ice cream out there? Just curious. Taking an official poll.
It's going to be hard to find someone who doesn't.
Yeah, because I know one person that does not like ice cream.
Who?
Pastor Phyllis.
Really?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yep.
Here's a question for you.
Okay. What thread? I'm just using a pre-wound embroidery bobbin thread in my bobbin, Barbara. So just your pre-wound embroidery thread is all you need in your bobbin, and you just leave that in there the entire time. All right. So now I've chosen this. I had a hard time trying to find something that looked good with brown, and then I realized if this was actually in a quilt, you'd have all different colors of ice cream. So I went bright and summery. So you cut a 2-inch strip of fabric. This is the 5-inch block. And what you're going to do with that strip is, I'm going to keep in mind I have a little selvage here. So I don't want that selvage in my seam. So I'm going to place it up a little higher. And I'm going to leave the brown thread in there so that you can see the seam. Again, however, you're going to want to put just something more neutral color thread in there. And I'm just aligning the raw edges together, and I'm actually going to move it up a little bit because when we flip it, we want to make sure our corner is covered. So I'm going to take my little 2-inch strip with my raw edges even, and I'm going to sew a seam right there. Okay, now I'm going to just take this and flip it right side up. And I'm gonna finger press it. That looks so cute. And we're gonna smooth that out. And then I'm going to cut it so it's about 1/2 inch from the outside perimeter of the block. About, which means doesn't have to be perfect. And so we're just gonna finger press it again, smooth it out. And now we're going to do the seam for down here. So I'm going to put my hoop back. And right sides together, right sides down. And your raw edge is even, and you're gonna stitch a seam down here. Just gonna do this all the way around the quilt block. Okay, do a little camera adjustment here. I guess that might be the best. Then I'll flip my fabric right side up and finger press it here. And again, I'm going to cut right along here. And I'm going to use my hoop scissors, which is a little larger than the mini, but it's great for cutting longer pieces of fabric. So I'm going to finger press this again, make sure it's lying nice and smooth. And take that same strip of fabric. Come on, thread, cooperate. Take that same strip of fabric and I'm going to lay it right side down, raw edges even with this side, and stitch the seam over here. Now, different sides of this quilt may call for different fabrics right here. So your instructions will get you all taken care of as to what fabric goes where. But since we're stitching a single block, I'm just using all the same fabric all the way around. So I'm going to flip that. I'm going to finger press the seam. And I'm going to also cut my strip of fabric right down here. And then use the same strip. Right side down, raw edges even, for our last little corner. And we'll flip this one up and finger press it and trim the fabric over here. So you're about 1/2 inch from the outside of the block. And now our next step is it's going to do a tack down stitch around the perimeter of the block. This is also a step that we suggest that you use water soluble thread. And the reason is, maybe Aubrey can find a reason we can point out in a little bit, is so that when you stitch this to another block, like if I'm using brown or even if I'm using white thread or a light gray, if you sew it to the block next to it, it's very possible that that stitching could show. But if you're using water soluble on this step, then you don't have to worry about it. If it does have to peek out and show a little bit, you just get it wet and it disappears. So I just smoothed out the fabric as we went around the corner. And there it is. And there's a couple quilting steps in here, and then we'll be done. So let me switch to, I'm going to switch to a thread that matches, and you don't have to match it. We suggest that you match it, but if you want to have a different color or a, maybe a tan on the white or light pink on the white, whatever you think of that you think would look good, you can have whatever color you would like. So let me just thread this really quick because it's melting. All right. All right, now we're going to do our quilting in the center. Answer a question. Yeah.
So Mary asked, why are you cutting at an angle? And I thought we should show the sample.
Okay.
Because this is a block. So it's like an offset look, but the block is actually square. So when we had the microphone over there, oh, so just make sure you go. Okay. when you have your strip of fabric right side together, and then you go and flip it, this is a bigger size block. This is why I was cutting at an angle, because we need to cut it about a half an inch from the outside edge of the block. And then we just take the strip and move it around to the next section.
So hopefully, Mary, that helps you answer your question. So I have one more quilting step, and that would be some straight line stitching that is in the printed area of the fabric. And I'm going to put this pretty aqua color in. And again, you can choose whatever color you want, because who knows what color your fabric is. You can make that choice. Anyone else have any questions, Aubrey?
Nope.
Okay.
Someone said your waffle cone looks almost edible.
It does. There must be some kind of national ice cream day or something.
It's Sunday, I think Nina said, and it's also the whole month. Like,
Really, I had no idea. See,
Yeah.
Nina knew. That's why she planned the theme. So if I was planning it, it would have been, I'm going on vacation.
yeah, that would have been the theme.
That would have
We're
been
going
the
on
theme.
vacation. Sorry.
This cute little block makes me want to make more and finish it.
Yeah. So what I love about this, here's what I love about Hoop Connections in general. There's a lot to love about it. I love always the fun engagement posts that Nina puts in the event page, and you get to know your customer.
Yeah.
You guys are customers, and you guys get to know each other. But also, it kind of brings new life to an older design.
It
because
does.
This design, I think we came out with 2020.
2017.
2017. Okay. So it came out back in 2017. I've seen this sample that we
8 years
have
old.
for 8 years in the
Yeah.
office, and it's so fun to see it in new colors, and it just looks brand new all over again.
I know. It's really cute. And you know what I think I'll do with this is we'll probably show you a little trimming. But I wanted to also talk about that I could go back to the very first step in this design, and you can do this on any block. Is the very first step is the outline, the placement stitch that you saw that was already stitched for us. And I could actually take a piece of fabric, you know, the size of the block plus an inch, and I could lay it right on top and sew that stitch with just a neutral color thread. And I probably have to rip out a couple stitches, and then I could turn that block, and you won't have to put binding on it, but it would make a cute little mug rug for somebody to whip up
yeah.
really quick.
Yep.
Almost finished. One more line of stitching. So everybody probably has their favorite ice cream store in their town. So I think my favorite ice cream store is Pete's here in Lima, and it's a wonderful ice cream store. So tell us your favorite ice cream shop.
I actually have a cute story up on the screen now for you to take a look
Oh,
at.
okay. Karen says my dad's name was at the top of the ice cream store's list for the number of different flavors of ice cream tasted this summer. We lived in Huntsville, Alabama. Oh man, well, I love to come visit that store.
Sounds amazing.
That is amazing.
So I did get that water soluble example as well.
Okay, all right.
So I don't know if you remember when I mentioned a few steps ago, right before the quilting steps, is that I use the brown thread in order to sew all these, to tack down all these little flaps on the edge. So we tell you to use water soluble. And the reason for that is, as I explained, when you sew this block to the next block, you're supposed to sew right on that basting stitch. However, if you miss or you go like half a thread off, it could show up on the front. And that's why we use water soluble thread, because if it shows up on the front like this does here, you can see the white. That is actually water soluble thread. And all you have to do is get that wet and it'll dissolve and you won't have to pick it out. That's why we like to use water soluble thread for that particular step. And you can see it pretty good over here as well. So anyway, thanks, Aubrey, for running and getting that.
That's another really cute summer.
It is.
That's my favorite example. I pull this one out every time.
Every time. Oh, look at beautiful, perfect example. Okay, so I'm going to jump and
Mom, didn't we just go to the dairy barn in Danville in Illinois? Oh no, that wasn't Danville, Illinois. Didn't we? Oh, that was
in Springfield.
Yellow Springs.
It
wasn't dairy.
Yellow
was it
Springs,
called Dairy
Ohio.
Barn?
I don't know.
It was
Hefner's.
crazy. It was like
No, it wasn't Hefner. I don't remember. Somebody out there is listening and probably remembers.
So cute.
All right, trimmer by George. Could talk about trimming this block and a 60mm rotary cutter. These are the tools we're going to need next. So I know our block is kind of one of those little cockeyed blocks. That's okay. So basically, to sew this to another block, you are going to need to remove all the bulk from the seams. So you could try and use the scissors and cut along there and not slice into your fabric, but eventually you will do that. Or if you want to use a rotary cutter and a ruler, you could try that. And again, you may have the same thing happen. And that's why our trimmer by George was invented by a sweet man named George. And George, he could see that we needed this tool. He was working with his wife doing some stitching and test sewing for us. And we instructed her to remove the bulk from the seam without the trimmer by George. Well, George had invented, he went up after seeing Martha's frustration. Our first trimmer by George was just a piece of bent metal, like gutter material. And he took that to Martha, and it was like an aha moment for her. And she was so happy. So anyway, our current trimmer by George is your acrylic ruler, but it has this metal edge right here, this crimped metal edge at the end of the ruler. And this metal edge right here is what's going to protect the fabric on the front of your quilt so you don't slice into it. Because, well, I'll say this in a second here. We're going to lay our ruler metal edge down, and we're just going to pull the fabric back and slide it in there.
Sashay it in there.
Shimmy it. Sashay. Okay.
It's sashay day.
Okay. Normally it's shimmy day, but today it's sashay day because of our lavender sachet. Then you'll lay the ruler down and you will just do a gentle, very gentle tug. If you do too hard of a tug, you will probably see the fabric coming through. But if you look and see that everything is hidden behind that metal edge, then you can take your rotary cutter and cut the battleizer away, and you're cutting it almost right up to that basting stitch. So you do need to use a 60mm rotary cutter. And the reason for that is because that metal edge does raise the ruler up a little bit. But you would just use that metal edge to trim the battleizer away right up to the basting stitch. So the ice cream cone's melting, so we're going to carry on. Again, shimmy, sashay, get that little metal edge in there against the basting stitch and lay it down. Give it a gentle tug and do a visual. No fabric is peeking out, and then we can use the metal edge of the trimmer by George with a 60mm rotary cutter to cut all that away. So I have two more sides. We're going to do some more sashaying. Sashay that thing in there, metal edge up to the basting stitch, and lay it down. Do a gentle tug. Okay, and remember, it must be a 60mm rotary cutter, because if it was a 40 40 millimeter rotary cutter, your distance between here and here would be less. And with that metal edge raising up, you wouldn't be able to this screw here would be hitting the top of your acrylic ruler. But if you have a 60-inch, it won't. A 45, since it would be hitting, you'd be inclined to tip it a little bit, which means you would end up slicing into your fabric anyway. But the 60 millimeter rotary cutter is perfect. And you just keep going around, and again, pull the fabric back, sashay that metal edge in there, lay the ruler down, gentle tug, visual to make sure nothing's peeking out, and then you can use the metal edge to cut against. And then multi-purpose tool has a ruler on the other side, so you can flip it over and find your basting stitch, and then you can trim it 1/4 of an inch, so you have a 1/4 inch seam there. So let me just go around in circles here, and we will slice this up. It's actually turning square now, and still has those little angled sides, which is
It looks like you're trimming it wrong because of
I
the
know.
white angle.
I know
But
it does.
I know you're not, but
I'm not.
visually I'm like,
just follow the basting stitch.
Yeah.
And I will tell you too that sometimes, depending on the color of your fabric or your thread, you can sometimes see it better from the back side. So there's a little tip for you. You can find the basting stitch a little easier on the back side. All right, so there is our cute little ice cream block.
It's adorable.
Which is adorable. I love it. And you can, we didn't do it today, but you can, before you do the quilting steps, the instructions will tell you, you can add a backing fabric to it if you want to, but you don't have to. But there's Nina's chocolate ice cream cone.
Really cute.
Very cute. So,
All right. So adorable. I want to eat it. And again, like I said, it just looking at the different fabrics that you picked, it's like a whole new design all over again.
It really is.
And it's 10% off today only, along with a lot of other really adorable designs that are on the website. We'll have Nina drop the link so you can go shopping and get that 10% off. The other thing that's going to happen is if you shop today on the website, you're going to get the lavender sachet. You want to show that under there?
Yeah.
So this is like our little free gift to you for any order placed on the website today before midnight. So adorable.
They really are cute.
And you put dried lavender.
Yep, there's some dried lavender in there. You can find that a lot of different places. I think I was lazy and got it from Amazon, but you can get lavender in a lot of different places. And you'd have this cute little sachet to put in your dresser drawers and your suitcase.
Nina and I said we'd put it in our car.
In your car, that would be good.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots of things you could do with that.
Okay, so 10% off on that category that she just dropped the link to. The free gift is going to pop in there automatically as well. And all that is expiring tonight at midnight. The one other thing that we'll mention is we'll drop the event link too. If you haven't gotten into the event yet, go do that and comment, check in on all those posts, because we are going to pick a not live viewer. Goodness gracious. I usually say that during the workshop.
It just comes out.
Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. A winner from those of you who are participating in the event and commenting on the posts. So by doing that, you're going to be entered into the giveaway for 5 yards of Battleizer.
So the more you talk, the more reward you could possibly get.
That's right.
All right.
And you can catch up real quick. You just go to the event and start commenting and engaging in the posts in there. So be sure to do that before Nina picks a winner for today. And from here until 3 o'clock, there's going to be additional party posts going on. You can see design information in there, but there's also fun, like what's your favorite ice cream and all that kind of stuff in there. So couple places for you to go check out today and have fun clicking into the event and over to the website to take a look at all the beautiful designs. So, all right.
Okay.
Anything else you want to mention?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. Well, cute
Okay.
ice cream cone. Good work.
Thanks. It's all Nina's.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you next time.
All right.
Enjoy the rest of the event from now until 3 p.m. Eastern.
Yep. Thanks for joining with